Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the Part-Time Homestead. So today I wanted to give you a quick little review and my thoughts on these weed burners, if you've ever seen these before. When I saw this online for the first time, I thought this was going to be the answer to my weed problem. But in this video we're going to go over that and let you know if it was or if it's not. So first of all, you just buy this kit. I got this at a local home improvement shop. It comes with the weed burner and the tube and the connection to the tank, which is opposite your standard connections for gas. So you get yourself a propane tank, and I filled this propane tank up this morning. If you can see that, it's 4.5 gallons at $17. This was about 40 bucks, somewhere around there. They go from 35 to 50 depending on the brand. This is Mag Torch. It's called a Mag Torch. So what you do, you just get your connection in here. Hand tighten it, then you'll hear the gas kind of go into the it is closed. And then when you open it, you want to open it slowly. If you open it too fast, it could lock. It has a safety feature in here that when the gas is coming out too fast, it stops it. So you just open it slowly. You can feel the vibration. You can see the hose filling up. And this is on. Okay. So propane's on, it's connected. So this controls the gas coming out, and this is kind of like your throttle, your burner throttle. When you press this, it just allows more gas to come out and really lets the heat go. You also need handy dandy little sparker. So like I was saying, I thought this was going to be the answer to my weed problems. And if you can see the background in the midst of my junk pile right there, all those weeds, that's what this was before. So I weed eated it, had it raked out, got all the stuff out, and I'm getting this ready to plant some wildflowers here. And I'm also going to show you how this works, how much I can do on a 5-gallon bottle, and compare it to basically Roundup. If you know that out here on my homestead, I don't use any herbicides. I plan to not use any herbicides, and I was like, oh, let's give this a try. This would be a good replacement for Roundup. But there are pros and cons to this. And in all fairness to the manufacturers of these things, they don't advertise them as a large-scale weed eater, to get your weeds. They advertise it more for like the cracks between your driveway, but that wasn't my intention. So let me show you how this works. So just turn this on, and you can hear the gas coming out the end. There you go. So I will be the first to tell you, or maybe not the first, but this thing goes through propane quickly. So that's just a standard right there, and then you hit your throttle and it really comes out. If you turn your gas up too much, it'll burn out. It'll start kicking off, and you have to relight it often. So there is a sweet spot. Kind of have to figure it out when you're using it. All right, let's get to it. you can see it takes a minute to, it takes a minute of burning this to turn it black. I mean, you can see there's still some greenery in there. This isn't like your ornamental grass or your plants. I mean, these weeds are tough, and it takes quite a bit to kill these things. And if you've ever heard people talk about how quickly stuff regrows after a forest fire, I find that it's the same for this as well. I will do a follow-up and post it in this video, how many days it takes before this stuff grows back. So, number one, oh, my bad. The potato bug's not liking life right now. Anyways, let's get back to it. Yeah, so where was I? So number one, it is March, almost the end of March right now. So the first thing about these weed burners that you're not going to be able to do is you're not going to be able to use these in summertime to cover large areas. In the summertime, all this grass is going to be very dry and dead. And out here in the country, the last thing I want to do is be responsible for starting a fire. So it's very seasonal appropriate. Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be able to do this all the summer months and into the fall. The only time I really get to use this like this is early spring and winter time. And really, I'm not doing much in the winter. So that's the first con of this weed burner. So let me set this back up and get to So there you have it. I mean, there is one of the issues. I mean, it's March, this stuff is wet, and it's burning on the other side of the fence. But, so that was 20 minutes basically of burning for this little 4x12, maybe 4x14 area, 3x14. And you can see the ground, it's still got some green in it. But the videos that I saw online, they really just took the weed burner, skimmed it over the top of the weeds, kind of wilted them, and then came back a couple days later and showed you that the weeds were dead. That wasn't my experience at all. I tried to quickly just, wilt the weeds, come out the next day, and they were already recovering. So I found that scorching it to the ground, pretty much like this, is the best option. But as far as time goes, 21 minutes for this little area when I could have squirted this with Roundup in 30 seconds and not done all the work, the pre-work, such as the weed eating and the raking. It's, it's a big Roundup is definitely much easier, but I'm not using herbicides. So as far as time goes, that's a con. It takes a lot longer to get the job done, but it's so important for me not to use herbicides. So, all right. So I'm gonna get as much done as I can with this 5-gallon propane. So I'm going to come over here to this side and do as much as I can of the slope right here all the way down to the end of the fence line. And we'll see how far I get. So I wanted to show you guys another problem that occurs is this thing gets icy. It gets icy and sometimes the hose gets clogged up, so you have to shake it or pound it on the ground. I don't know if it doesn't get clogged up, but the gas stops flowing as good and you have to bang it around to get the gas to flow. Whew, so I'm a little winded because I ran in the house to get the phone, but anyways. So I've been out here for about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and that's what I got done. So down there is where I started, and I did all this, just the part to where I can't mow on the hill. So as I get down here towards the end, I'm not burning it, torching it to the ground. I'm just kind of lightly hitting it, so you can see that it's just slightly brown or blackened. But then down here where I started, I was hitting it a little bit harder. So you can see like the ground down here is pretty much torched pretty good. So, all this, and that right there. All right. So that's probably about 3 feet by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is 70, 210 square feet maybe. I've got about a gallon of propane left. I could probably finish off the rest of this section, and that's about it. So 16 bucks, 5 gallons of propane, probably. So I stopped right here, and I can probably finish the rest of this. So I'm gonna say that's maybe 350 square feet. So I don't know what a gallon of Roundup does, or weed killer of any kind. But another thing too is this probably isn't killing the roots. Like a lot of those herbicides will kill the roots. So far. All right, so one other thing, if you can see that this is pretty thick stuff down here. So I'm gonna hit it lightly, kind of like I seen advertised or people doing on the internet, and then we'll come back in a couple of days and see actually what happened to it. All right, here we go. Yeah, that's another thing I forgot to mention. You gotta lug this 5-gallon propane bucket around with you all day, which I guess isn't really too big of a deal. All right, so there's pole 1, 2. So from the 3rd pole to the 5th pole is the area that I just did. So just kind of one pass over it real light, and we'll see how that looks. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of this. Okay, this is your day 1 update for what it looks like. So this is the area that I burnt pretty good. Spent quite a bit of time on this area here. See, it's pretty dead. I want to get down to the area that I just hit real light, which is this. So you can see it's not blackened, but it's pretty dead. And then once again I went pretty heavy right here. So there you have it. That's what it looks like after day one. All right, so let's take a look at the results from the weed burner and see what it looks like. And let's give you my thoughts as well. All right, so 6 days ago, I pretty much burnt this area to a crisp. And you can see that there is some greenery already. And this got no water. We had no rain. So you can see that it's just, you know, compared, right? And you can see that there's quite a bit of greenery growing right back. I guess the best thing to equate this to maybe would be like a forest fire, how quickly the forest grows back after a fire. Same kind of thing. Doesn't really kill the roots, just burns the tops off. So as far as comparing this to, say, an herbicide, you know, obviously the pro of the weed burner is it's not an herbicide. It's organic. It's not gonna pollute your ground or your body or your water. So this area here got some water because I was watering this bush, and you can see it's growing back fairly quickly. We're expecting 3 days of rain here in the next 3 days, and I'd be willing to bet you in 5 days from now this is all going to be green, and you won't even be able to tell. It'll just be little char marks underneath all the green growth. So this area coming up here is between the 3rd and the 5th pole where I lightly hit it. It's basically the same thing. It's not burnt to the ground, but all the weeds are brown and dead, and you still have some greenery growing back through it. Right there, right there, right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it is not as effective as an herbicide, which kills the roots and everything else. As far as cost effectiveness, it was $17 to do all this. Plus I did a little bit additional on the back side of the barn and some of the cracks in the driveway, which we'll go take a look at right now. So cost effectiveness, I would say it's a little bit better. I think you can get about a gallon of herbicide for the same price, 15 to 20 bucks. So it's pretty much a wash on that. Time wise, it took me like 3 hours to do all this. It's ridiculous. I could have sprayed this with an herbicide in seconds or minutes or half hour, whatever. But I don't want to use herbicides, and many of you also don't want to use herbicides, and we're looking for a good alternative. And I know there's some organic herbicides out there, but I just haven't looked into them. Ran across that weed burner, and I really thought it was going to be my saving grace. So I truly believe that there are instances or areas where this weed burner will come in handy. Another con of the weed burner is it's very seasonal. Out here, I can't be burning in the summertime when everything is dry. I'll start a fire for sure, or windy days. So here's my driveway. I burnt these cracks, all the weeds out of them. So you can see there's still some green. I mean, I hit this pretty good. So you can see all of it, all these cracks in the driveway here. I want to find an area where I didn't do. So I burnt all this too. And look, there's green growing back, green there. So this is what it basically looked like before I hit it. Let's go over here. Just stuff growing out everywhere. I think it was somebody weed eated them out. Yeah, that's what happened. Went over it with the weed eater. But in any case, and there's one more area we can show you. Let's head over there now. All right, so this is behind the barn. This is another area that I hit. I didn't weed eat it or rake it out, and you can see it's pretty dead. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think there's definitely a use for it. Maybe there's a use for it on your property. You have a certain area. Maybe that's, you know, not a fire hazard, or maybe a rock driveway that they just keep growing out of, that you can hit it with the weed burner instead of using a chemical. So yeah, definitely there's probably going to be uses for it. As far as a large area weed alternative, getting rid of your weeds, it's probably not so much. So just to recap, the biggest pro is it is organic. No chemicals, no nothing. Gets rid of your weeds. Cons, it's not a long term, doesn't last very long. It's more like using a weed eater. You know, you have to come back and do it every week or so. Time wise, not efficient. Cost wise, it's about the same. And seasonal, definitely seasonal, depending on the area that you're going to be burning. Out here in the summertime, this is all brown, all this. And if I was to burn this on a windy day, I'd be causing a fire. And that's no bueno, no good. So I guess I'm just kind of up in the air with it. I mean, it just depends on your personal situation. The initial cost, 50 bucks, propane tank, it's not too bad. So for all you organic gardeners or people out there, you might want to check out a weed burner. Maybe it might be useful on your property. So there you have it. It's my review and opinion of a weed burner. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, thumbs up, subscribe, share it with your friends. Thanks again. Bye.